Okay, hello everybody. Hi, welcome to the Victoria Reeves Show, where we have conversations on creativity with visionaries from a kaleidoscope of genres. I am writer, career coach Victoria Reeves, and I've always been fascinated by what people do for a living and why. So, in each episode here on the show, we pull back the curtain to learn more about how our guests got started, what their process is, their challenges, their moments of epiphany, their visions, and more. I'm very excited to welcome our guest today. So, let's give a warm welcome to our special guest, Veronica Sassy Levy Antipolo. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I am living the dream. How are you?
I want to be in your dream if you're living the dream.
Let's do it. Oh my gosh. It's a massive blizzard here in Chicago. How about you?
It's actually, yes, it's just starting to blow snow out there and I'm not going out there.
It's a nightmare. Okay, so hi. So to begin with, please tell our listeners who you are and what you do.
So my name is Veronica Sassy Levy Antipolo. I am a virtual event producer. At the very core of it, I'm a storyteller. What that translates into is I'm a virtual event producer. I also am a comedian, and as well, I do perform storytelling.
I know. You're a multi-potentialite. I realized that today. Like, this is a prerequisite for every guest on my show. You must have 80,000 different things that you do.
I just juggle.
I know. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, so I love it. And so just so you know, this show does reach a global audience. We've had folks in like Australia, Canada, all across the States. It's super exciting. Japan even. So tell our audience like where you grew up and where you're at right now.
So I was born and raised in Toronto, Canada, which everyone knows where Toronto is now, thanks to our former mayor Rob Ford and Drake and The Weekend. Now you know who we are. And I was born and raised there. I just recently moved to London, Ontario, which is about, I think it's 2 hours north of Detroit, I want to say.
Yeah, I was thinking that. And how far is London from Toronto?
2 hours, 2 hours out of Toronto. So southwest of there.
2 hours out of Toronto and 2 hours from Detroit.
Yes, right in the middle.
I got you. And we're going to go into your London story in a little bit. That massive transformation that I already know
Yeah.
about. Okay, fantastic. Just so we can place you on the planet. All right, so now blah, 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 we're going to go back to childhood. Okay. Oh God, but it's going to be fun. When you think back on your childhood, like what, and I can only imagine your answer to this, what kind of creative play were you doing? Like, I know.
So I was an only child,
Oh,
and I also lived with my grandparents and my aunt, and we lived in a one-bedroom apartment. So that generation is pretty much like, go just amuse yourself. So I literally, we lived in this low-rise building, and I just would just wander around the building. I had a best friend. I didn't, she claimed me as her best friend. I don't necessarily know if it was reciprocal, but I was like, okay, she wants to be my best friend. And there were bushes outside. We'd play in the bushes and we just like play pretend. And then we do things like I'd scale the wall to get into the balconies.
okay. Love it.
Um, we just a lot of like I feel like we did a lot of like play acting, really. We were
Playing.
just yeah, that's mostly what we did. A lot of like hide and seek around the neighborhood. We played wedding once with some of the neighborhood kids and had an argument about whether it was awfully ever after or waffly ever after. And I said it must be waffly because waffles are delicious. And if you're getting married, it's a good thing.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, yeah.
That's very sweet. So and did you do any performing or producing or hosting as a young person in your own
You know
mind?
what? Yes, because, or probably more like directing, I would say. I think I was always trying to like this is how we should do this. I had always had kind of had my 2 cents about it. But yeah, you know what? Maybe in a sense I was kind of producing when I was younger because I was also, because we didn't have a lot of money, I was just trying to pull together resources and people um out of seemingly nowhere. Like
Yeah.
I had to be creative about like what are we going to use as this and that. So yeah, oh my gosh, I didn't even realize that till you said it.
No, and to be honest, like as a career coach, this is what I do all the time with people is like help them like connect the dots because I don't know if you're familiar with this concept of right livelihood. Have you heard of this before?
No.
Oh my gosh. Ah, okay, brief diversion. So, right livelihood means like it comes from Buddhism actually, and the idea is that like there's something that all of us are supposed to be doing here on the planet and that we know what it is like on a, almost like a visceral intuitive level when we're little and we just do it naturally. We don't think about it, we're just doing it. But then life happens and society happens and structure happens in some ways and we many of us diverge from our right livelihood because we think, well, I'm an adult now and I'm supposed to fill in the blank. And so our homework at here on the planet is to like get back to who we were when we were little and then incorporate that into how we earn a living and like everything that we do and that we are. So that's why I was like, I bet you were producing something when you were little
Yeah.
side of you, right? Like,
That's I have these motion lights in here,
I
so
love it.
once in a while we just yeah. So I have to if I wave suddenly, it's just to keep the lights on.
I thought that was like part of your show.
No.
I love that. So yeah, so how spectacular. And so I had like an open mic in my backyard when I was little, and I like showcased all the neighborhood kids, and of course I charged because I'm not an idiot. But I mean it was like 50 cents. Like
Yeah.
girl, and then I would put like toilet paper in my shirt so that I looked like I had boobs because
Yeah,
I was
yeah.
also the MC and I had to be, I had to be
Yeah.
there. Oh my God. I think we could have been friends. Um, Super fun. Okay, so my other question for you is that you are a mom. And so that now that you're a mom, like how do you incorporate creativity or maybe like opportunities for creativity with your daughter and like how you're raising her?
Okay, so well, one of the things I always do with her is I always ask her why. And I like the five whys. Like I just keep going and she hates it. She hates it. But and I want her to I kind of like that she hates it because I want her to sort of get used to like when you get older, especially as growing up as a young woman
Yeah.
of color, you actually will be like, why? How do you know this? So I kind of want her to get used to that. But at the same time, I also do it because I want her to know, for example, for storytelling, I
Yeah.
want her to get used to the idea of not using, like how we say their umbrella words, like I am sad. I said, okay, but what does that mean? Because I feel sad a different way. It comes out a different way than how you feel sad. So I said, okay, sad. Why? How? Why? Like, I just keep going down until she gets to the details of like, what does it look like when she's describing sadness? Like, are there tears? Does your chest feel like it's swelling? Does it feel like, in her own words?
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
and I try to encourage that you don't have to know big words. Just use the words you know and try and describe it the best way you can with the vocabulary you have. That's every day. She hates it. Like she knows when I'm gonna do it too because her face goes, I know, mom. Just
Like, okay, now it's time for articulation practice.
yes, yes. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, but I love that. And I love how you said use the words that you know. When our son was like 5, he was in this kindergarten and it was a gifted kindergarten program. And the teacher would say, like, she gave him these little spiral notebooks and she'd be like, write about your weekend. But half these kids, like, they don't know how to spell. I mean, they were little, right? And their grammar was, scary. But that wasn't the point at all, right? It was just like learn how to articulate and express what you experienced in words. Oh,
Exactly.
so delicious. And what about your home? Like, do you have kind of like creativity stations, set up for her so that she can kind of iterate as she moves about the planet or
Yes,
We
yes, yes. We have one of those, those three-tier rolling carts. And so it's jammed with like markers, pencil crayons, scissor, different kinds of scissors, different kinds of paper, like anything. And we actually need another cart because it's so jammed with stuff. And when I get like if I order off Amazon or any kind of packaging, I
yeah.
actually don't throw it out right away.
Oh,
I keep it. So it looks a bit junky in corners, I will say. I just kind of shove it in a corner, but she uses like she built a car with some Amazon boxes and
oh my
made like a GPS system and a seat and a steering wheel. So yeah, definitely there's always stuff. And I always am like, we don't need to get fancy art supplies. Like let's just look around and see what we can do. And then I purposely will say, look, you're an engineer. Like I call her an artist already, but I also say you're an engineer because it is. Arts and crafts is engineering, is it not?
it is.
Yeah.
It is DIY. You said it before. Work with what you have, right? And as creative entrepreneurs, like we know all about that, right? And so, like to me, these are life skills. It's like these because the world is unpredictable, life is unpredictable. We would love to have all our ducks in a row, whatever the heck that means. And then, hello, here we are. So like that is golden. That's so precious. Oh, I love that. I just love that. I set up when our son was little. I set up our apartment like a preschool. So we had like animal pet area, like science area, art area. I don't even like movement exploration space, which was just like a
Yes.
carpet with like a little CD player next to it. But yeah, 100% right because it's just like setting the stage to
Yeah.
invite the muse, and you
Yes.
can do this with children, and we need to, right?
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
know. Oh,
And it's fun.
and it's spectacular. I know. Okay. Exciting. All right. So on your Sassy Levy website, which I love it, it says part midlife crisis and leap of faith. Veronica Antipolo took stand-up comedy and storytelling after getting fired from a good job at 45 years old. So boom, drop the mic. Tell us that story.
So I have another child. He's 25, I think, this year. No, sorry, he's 20. He just turned 25. And so I what was I 23 at the time when I had him. And so I I needed a job that where I could work 9 to 5 and be home for him. I had originally gone to university because I wanted to get into journalism. And then when I realized the type of schedule that would entail, I was like, I guess I can't do this. And so I became an admin. And so I worked 9 to 5 and I got, great benefits, whatever. I moved up eventually in seniority. Um, and I eventually worked for a company where everyone, as soon as I said the company name, everyone's like, oh, that's amazing. The pension. It was always the pension. And I thought, okay, I'm going to stay here, even though I had hated this type of career forever, actually. And I had even picked out my cake. I was going to get a strawberry shortcake cake
Retirement cake?
at my retirement party because it was always the tuxedo cake or strawberry shortcake. And I already knew I was like the strawberry shortcake from Costco because it's huge. Anyways, so then they let me go, and I I was devastated because I was like, I thought I had settled in and this was it. And plus, like I was turning 45, and I was like, well, what am I supposed to do now?
Yeah.
And so the funny thing is I was a vegan for about 3 years up until then. And then when that hit, I was like, nope, I'm just gonna eat McDonald's,
You're like,
and
I don't even care anymore.
I don't even care. What's the point? I watched 13 seasons of Grey's Anatomy and I just lay on my couch.
That says it all.
That says it all.
Seasons of Grey's Anatomy, although it's a
13.
wonderful show. But
It
yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah.
And so I just thought, you know what? I think I'm just gonna have to do something different because if I'm going to be let go from
Mm,
something that I hate, let
mm,
me see what happens if I just try something that I think I'm interested in. And the reason I say I think is because it had been so long that I had explored any interests, or like you said, from childhood, I don't remember what I really liked doing or what I did naturally.
Mm.
And so I was
Yeah.
like, I think maybe I want to do this thing at Second City, because my friend said, Veronica, you should try stand up. It was a
So
colleague of
funny.
mine. Yeah, and I said, honestly, Steve, I think you just like wasting time, because I stand there and people start to gather. I was like, I think maybe that's what it is. So I go on the Second City website.
Yeah.
I read the description for stand up and I'm already intimidated. Then
Yeah.
I see a description for storytelling one, and
Yeah.
I think, oh, I think that's easier.
Yeah. No.
Not, not.
One of those storytelling knows that, but right, when you were beginning, you were starting out. Yeah.
And so I took storytelling one, and I think stand up. They were sort of, that's slightly overlapping. Yeah,
Yeah.
and fell in love with both of them, and it came sort of naturally to me. And I didn't even go to the storytelling grad show. I got booked somewhere. Um, and same with stand up. I did my grad show and there were two people there, I guess, scouting. And I just kept getting booked for stand up, storytelling. Same thing. I just kept, like, people were inviting me, and it was just, it's so strange. In the last, I guess it's been 4 years now, things have come as like naturally. I don't know how to explain it. Whereas I always felt like up till that point, up to age 45, I was like fighting. I was like swimming upstream. And this, as hard as it is to be a creative, in terms of sometimes you're like, I think I'm just gonna make something up and see if this flies.
Right.
Um, right.
I know.
It's, yeah, it's just, it's not even a matter of, I feel like I have to do it. I have to do it. So
Yeah.
it's been very liberating, and that's where I am now. It seems like it just happened yesterday, but it's been like 4 years now.
It's been like 4 years now. I mean, and as you know, you and I were having our deep dive on the phone the other day, and then you were telling me how, in fact, you had learned all of this tech as part of your job. So tell us your pandemic baby pivot story. Let's hear about that and how we got to Sassy Levy.
Yeah, so because I had been in administration, I already knew how to use video conferencing tools.
Right.
So once we got into the first lockdown here in Toronto, it was what, I don't know, it was
2020.
yeah, it was, I know it was Friday the 13th when they made the announcement here. And
How scary. Yeah.
yes, and so I pivoted to Zoom, because I also too got let go from that job as well due to pandemic.
Mm.
And I just went right ahead and I said, okay, I'm just going to make 10 shows up front, like a family variety show.
Mhm.
And I said, okay, by the time I'm finished doing these 10 shows, because I naively believed in 3 weeks the pandemic
Would be over.
over. Yeah.
We'd all go back to normal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so kids are honest, and they stayed and they came back, and it was a fundraiser, and I surpassed the goal, and I was like, wait a second, maybe there's something here. And so I started helping another fellow comedian, and came up with like a process for how to do it virtually successfully. And then I thought, you know what? I think I can charge more money for this. And I just honestly came to a point in the pandemic where I was like, well, I literally have nothing to lose from trying. And so I just registered the business and started really thinking about my value. I did work with a business consultant that was gifted to me, which is the greatest thing.
Wow.
Um, and I learned how to properly value my services and what I'm able to do.
Mm.
And I've been supporting myself and my daughter on this business. So
for about, well, at least 2 years, right?
Yeah. Yep.
If not a little bit longer. And wow, and I just love the story on about 80 scabillion levels. Like, first of all, I love the, like, let's just view it through an energetic lens, which is how I love to kind of view everything.
Yeah.
It's like you had this vision, you had this feeling like, oh, I'm going to take this class. And then you're like, oh, I'm going to take this other class and I'm just going to see how I feel about it. And then in fact, you were spectacular and, you didn't even go to your, show, performance show at the end because you got booked, and then you got booked and your list is too long for me to read. And so, guys, she's been everywhere. By the way, for those of you who may just be tuning in, we are listening to and having a fabulous conversation on creativity with the spectacular Veronica "Sassy" Antipolo, and she is a virtual events producer, comedian, storyteller, writer, wonderful supporter of women of color. There are like scabillions of things that I can say about you and all the different things that you do as a multi-potentialite, and she's a creative entrepreneur. So, yes, and I just got all excited saying that list. Oh, my point is, energetically, you were following your intuition, right? And you were like, this, like, I'm excited by this, I'm nourished by this, I'm excited, and I want to pursue this, and you kept going. Then with the pivot of the pandemic and getting fired, which, by the way, I always say to my clients, like, getting fired or even quitting your job might be the best thing that ever happened to you.
Uh-huh.
And like when you're in that gray space of not knowing like what the bleep is going to happen next, like that's when we're responsive to
Yes.
something new, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Like normally, why would we even like you would never try to create Sassy Levy before because you didn't have to, right?
Exactly. Exactly. I had my strawberry shortcake ahead of me.
Yeah, the cake was waiting. It's like so sad when you think of it now. All the
I,
spectacular stuff you're doing. It's like really wow.
yeah. No, I love it. Like there are times where I'm like, maybe I'll just go back. It's easier. But
Yeah,
then
a paycheck. What a
it's
concept.
like, yeah, something will just like come my way. And it doesn't have to be huge, like just something. And I think everything's a sign, by the way. Like
Yeah.
a fly will come into the room, like, oh, there's Uncle so and so greeting me. So I'm just like, no, I keep getting signs to
Right.
continue.
Right.
Doesn't
But
matter if they're signs or not, as long as if the way you interpret them is what's important.
absolutely, and also like your own ability to connect the dots, and I love 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 love, well, so many things you've said so far already, but one of the things that you said about working with a, did you say a business coach, a business consultant?
Hmm.
And I have four coaches right now myself, which is sort of like, like I'm not sure if it's amazing or overwhelming. I've got so much feedback, but seriously, right? Like you want to level yourself up, work with a coach,
Yes.
right? Because they will help
Yes.
you like connect those dots and see yourself. But my point is, when you said the piece about valuing your worth,
Hmm.
oh, like, can we
Hmm.
just swim in that pond for a second? As
Hmm.
a woman in tech,
Hmm.
let's talk about that. Like, what would you like to say about that?
Oh, that is one of the toughest things is that if I say I do virtual events and live streams, one of
Yeah.
the first things is like, they just keep talking. And I am like, I know what I'm talking about. And so often I do have to, show what I can do.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm.
but once I show what I can do, it's like, oh, you really, it's kind of sad. They're like, oh, you do know what you're doing. I'm like, yeah, I told you.
So did it, yeah.
So I actually, instead of being resentful about it, I mean, I still do, but instead of doing it, I just actually incorporated it into my pitch proposals because I realized that you're more likely to win the pitch if you include, like, if a client tells me just in conversation, oh, we kind of have this, we kind of have that in mind, I will literally just throw a mock-up together
Yeah.
and make it part of my pitch, before we've even gotten to that point in the conversation. Because I'm like, look, because now that they can see it, they can see that I'm closer to the idea than someone else who's still talking about it.
Right, right,
So
right.
I just include it now. I'm like, okay, I could spend time being resentful, or I could use it to my advantage because people don't see it coming from a woman. My son's friend actually does live stream productions as well. He was
Okay.
a tech, and my son said, "Do you want to speak to my friend to learn more?" I said, "Yeah, it's always good to learn more." And he said to me, I was kind of afraid to speak to you because, you're my mom, my friend's
Mom.
mom. And
Right.
I didn't know if you would understand what I was saying.
Oh,
And he said, but you actually know more than I do, and like most of the guys that I work with. And I was like, yeah,
mansplaining.
yes,
You child.
yes. Like, great, great person. But I was just like, yes.
Well, but in all seriousness, I think this is actually yet another great part of this conversation, which is that like we have to know our audience and we have to know what we're up against and we have to know the language to communicate and sometimes move through those barriers in order to like let our fabulousness shine full throttle 500%, right? And
Yes.
so it's like you're just seeing it and going, okay, fine. If you just see me as like this nice lady who might not know what she's talking about, let me, put together what a 2 minute. How long is the piece that you present usually?
Yeah, I'll actually do like a storyboard, and
Oh,
then
nice.
I'll do like
Yeah.
a quick video, and I show them this is what I envision.
Right.
Because
Right.
it doesn't matter if you get it spot on. What matters is that you've showed them something,
Right.
which is something to start from. Whereas you can't, if there's nothing to base it on, but at least there's something. And I always say that I'm like, I'd rather start from a vision that's like off because it's quicker to jump off of than we're still talking about it and it's just concepts that no one can see.
I got you. I got you.
Yeah.
Um. Okay. And I just want to say that. So what's the name of your show that you've been producing for? Is it Karen Carrington? Did I get her name correct?
Oh yeah, yeah. The Karen Carrington show. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So you guys, and by the way, hi Sholo, hi Marguerite. I'm seeing a bunch of people are watching. Hi friends out in Facebook world. Hello. So I hopped onto this Karen Carrington show because I was like, oh, let me check out what you're doing. And like when we say, is it online event production? Is this the proper terminology that we want to use? Or virtual event production?
It's so funny because the pandemic is like I was like, I'm just gonna describe what I think people are looking for, and it's changed over the
Of
pandemic.
course, like a thousand
So
times.
I just say virtual event
Okay,
production.
mazel
Yeah.
tov. So virtual event production by you. So I pop onto this Karen Carrington show, I don't know, maybe like a month ago, and I'm like, let me check this out. Oh my gosh, guys. Like this is not your typical, it's not like we're doing right here, like your typical Zoom thing. You've got like two different videos. First of all, she's spectacular and stunning, and her clothing is like, and her hair, like she's just an enigma in and of herself. But then you, as a producer, so you've got Talk to Me, the banner on the bottom. You've
Hmm.
got these two separate videos going. You've got the branding. Like, tell us,
Yes.
just map that out for us, like what it looks like.
So what I usually do, and as well what I do for the Karen Carrington show,
Yeah.
is I start with like I don't actually do what people expect because they just want to go straight to tech. But I'm like, if you start there, then you're just reacting.
Where are you going to go? Yeah.
So I always say, if we were in real life, what do you want this to feel like? Like,
Mm.
and people always go, "What do you mean? Don't I want to talk about like who's going to be on screen?" And like, yeah. And I said, no, 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 no. What do you want it to feel like? In other words, when people come away from watching you, what do you want them to feel? Do you want them to feel like this is a friendly environment, casual? Do you want it to be more formal? Do you want them to be like empowered, excited, sad? And then I start going with like, if this were in real life, what are the elements that would exist? So, for example,
Yeah.
with Karen Carrington, you can't say her name, by the way, just Karen. You have to say Karen Carrington.
I'm telling you, she's an enigma. You guys have to see her.
Yeah,
Wait.
yeah. She's a bit glam. She's glam. There's no a bit.
Oh,
She's very glam. And
spectacular.
so and so it was like, okay, it makes sense to have a background that's glam. It's got gold glitter and
Oh,
like her
sure.
font is script. It's like
Totally, yeah.
gold, it glows. And that's what leads me is like, how do you want this to feel versus let's use this font, you know? And also the transitions with her show are a bit more formal because
Okay.
she's in this gown basically.
Right. She looks like she came out of a ball somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Like a
Exactly.
Cinderella.
Yeah, yeah. I don't
Like a
even think I've seen
Wollstonecraft
every
fairy.
dress. Yeah.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. But and I just was thinking when you were talking, like it's almost like the Reiki of producing.
Yes, that's so, yes.
Dude, like you're just
Yes.
like, what are the energetics around this piece?
Yeah.
And like so let's just go reverse engineer it from there. And then you
Yes.
tell me the essence, and I'm going to create magic for you with my
Yes.
technological and creative abilities.
Because often when people think about doing live streams or even in a Zoom sort of workshop, they're just trying to maneuver, okay, just the logistics of it. But I feel like now you're trying to fit ideas, or you're not even thinking of ideas anymore. Now you're just worried about how do I do this? How do I do that? That's fine. You do need to worry about that. But even if you mess things up, if you lead with the energy and you lead with like, I want to genuinely connect to people and I genuinely want to speak to you,
Yeah.
it honestly speaks volumes above the tech. Like you could make it as fancy as you want,
Right.
but if the people are disengaged, which we've all seen, they're like, now next up, I was like, who
Yeah, exactly.
cares? Who cares?
Turn it off. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, it's true. Or a cat in the background, perfectly
yeah,
true.
yeah.
No, and you know what I love about what you just said? Like, so I don't know if you're a fan of Oprah Winfrey, but I do love her, and I've
Yes.
seen her interviewed many times, and just about her own show. And every time that she's been asked this question of like, Oprah, please, like, how did you possibly produce 25 years of consistently amazing and captivating program that impacted women and men like across the globe, right? And then every single time she says this, it's a very simple answer. I don't know if you've ever heard her interviewed on this. She says intention.
Yes.
Like every time a producer came to me and said, Oprah, we want to do a show on blah, 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 then she would say, well, this is the intention of the show.
Uh-huh.
So let's breathe, hello, and then ask ourselves, does this topic or this guest resonate with the intention of the show?
Yep.
Oh, I just got like bumps on my arms.
That's exactly what it is. It's funny because
I love it.
going back to being like a woman in tech, an older woman in tech too, and I'm just like, strike, strike, and people are like, I don't want to listen, go knit.
Right.
I it's funny because what you think is your weakness is actually your strength, which sounds cliche, but it actually, cliches come from somewhere. And what I realized is that the gap that I fill
I'm writing that
is
down.
that is that I lead with this people first approach and I focus a lot on the soft skills because soft skills are will take you far far greater than tech, because tech you always have to keep up with, but soft skills, you have that on here on camera and in real life. We all know that that'll get you places. So
Well, and I love that you are able to like capture that in this very impersonal 2D kind of a medium, which is not easy to do. I've had a lot of people say to me like, "Wow, Victoria, like your show is an hour," and I'm like, "What the heck? I'm gonna watch an hour interview with somebody like that's forever." Because a lot of these shows are like 2 seconds, bada bing, bada boom. But I'm like, listen, if we're gonna deep dive and get immersive into the experience and the process and the images and all, like whatever, just the whole everything that makes up you, then we
yeah,
can't do it in 5 seconds. But if it's personal and it's conversational and it's authentic, that is interesting because that's what we miss, right?
exactly.
That's what we are craving is just to be a human with another human.
Exactly. And you
Dialogue.
know what? The analogy I always use is if this were 1984 and we only had our landlines, can you imagine? I mean, and first of all, you never pick up a phone and you don't just go, Hi, I'm here. Blah, 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 blah. You don't do that. You say hello, how are you?
Right.
Use this the same way. Warm up to it. Like get to like speak to the people you're speaking to. Don't just like, let me just tell you. Blah, blah, blah. Those are telemarketers. What do we do with them? We hang up on them.
You hang up the phone. Exactly. Because there's
Yeah.
no engagement, right? There's no
Yeah.
engagement. Speaking of which, if anybody that's watching has a question, feel free to share it in the chat, and we would love to address it. And you can ask the spectacular Miss Veronica whatever you would like to ask her. Well, I mean, yeah, sure, within reason. Um, okay, so now I want to just segue briefly to your Mosaic Untold Lives show, of which you are the co-founder. Yes, and so the intention of the show, as far as I understand from what we've talked about, is that you wanted and want to create a storytelling platform for women of color.
Yes.
So tell us like more about that and what you've learned producing that show so far.
Mm. So that comes from a very personal place. And storytelling, as you know, it's a very vulnerable thing to do. You're like, I'm sharing this very personal thing with you. As women of color, Black women, women of color, you face the outside world a certain way because you're protecting yourself. And so I always felt like, no, I can handle it. I can handle it. I'm okay. I'm strong enough. What happened was, even when I needed help or was feeling like I couldn't handle things,
Mm.
I found I couldn't admit it to myself, and I was like, I don't know why I feel uncomfortable. And so the when I took storytelling and I had to tell these stories that were like vulnerable, regardless of they're happy or sad, there's still a piece of you going out there.
Yeah.
Um, Scary as hell, but whoo, what? Talk about catharsis and talk about the exchange of energy between the people receiving your story and
Mm.
saying, I thought I was the only one. And the connection was so strong, I thought, there's something here. And so, specifically, women of color is because
Mm.
I figure that, like, when I used to work out before the pandemic, now I just eat everything in sight. What trainers always tell you is that when you're working out, what you're actually doing is you're breaking, like the muscles are tearing,
Oh
and
yeah.
so they're becoming stronger. So I was like, well, I guess similarly, when you're a group of women of color, Black women, and you're telling these vulnerable stories, those are the same things as those tears. You're saying, I do feel vulnerable sometimes to your peers, and then you all get stronger, and the community created is like so strong. And
Right.
when you see a group of women like that, and they all feel stronger and self-empowered, and they're empowering each other, watch out.
You're like,
Am
what?
I right? Watch out. Watch
Absolutely.
out. and
Absolutely.
and
Yes.
so that's I just wanted to share that feeling. I just wanted to share that feeling of people being able to tell their own stories without having to edit it
Mm.
for other people, and that they had the right to tell the story from their perspective.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and representation, right?
And representation.
Absolutely. And providing that space. I mean, the visual on your website is so incredible with all of the women together I feel like that's how I felt when I went to New York City. So our son lives in Manhattan, and Chicago's pretty diverse, but at the same time we have neighborhoods, right? It's like we sort of merge, to work and do stuff, but then we go to our cubbies, it's a little bit
Yes.
it's that. But New York is like forget about it, right? It's like like Toronto, right? It's
Yes.
like everybody together. And I remember like being on the train in New York and just looking at all the people and being like, my God, like all the languages, right? And the hair, and
Yes.
the facial structures and just like and you're like, wow, this is the world. Like one
Yeah.
train car. And that's what I felt when I saw the images from your show. Like how yeah, love it.
Yeah. And
Love
then, you know what? As different as everyone,
it. Uh-oh.
as different as everyone is, seemingly,
Yes.
Um, there's something very that everyone has that is really the same. It really like is, and it's just emotion. Like it's the same. It's
Yeah.
really the same.
Well, I mean that's just story that's the essence of storytelling, right? It's like
Mhm.
the more personal it is, the more universal it is. Right?
Exactly.
And you're just like, well, I'm telling this weird story about somebody laughing at me when I was 10 or whatever. And then everyone's like, yeah, someone laughed at me when I was 10 too, or whatever. Maybe different language, different country, different this, different that. But um yeah, oh my gosh. So are you still producing mosaic shows now or what's going on with that?
Yeah, so we did a couple of them online, and then we took a break because my co-founder is back in the Bahamas right now.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm here now in London, and I'm actually it's funny because I just actually looked at a few event spaces, and so I'm going to
Mhm.
continue here. But now that I have the virtual event production under my belt, I'm actually going to do a hybrid event s-
Oh,
because you know it's much more accessible, and you don't have to be in London, Ontario to watch.
right.
So, and I
Right.
think it's nice to open things up to the rest of the world, you know? I love
Absolutely.
meeting people.
Absolutely. Well, and that's, the show that my husband and I produced, Soul Stories Live. I mean, that's like we had one show that was so hybrid that we like, we were streaming in a virtual teller from Canada, actually, and projecting her on a screen during a live show and, also,
Yeah.
showing the show on Zoom and I mean, it was insane because there were like two of us producing it and our vision was bigger than, what we could potentially do as humans. But it's so exciting, right? And then once you kind of expand it out to that, it's just like, wow. I mean, why would we not want to have a hybrid show?
Exactly.
We can't, you know.
Exactly.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so now we're gonna take a little bit of a turn, and we I want to talk about your well, this is all about your creative process, but I want to get a little more granular. So basically, you're a writer. You're writing your. Are you still doing comedy, by the way?
It, Mostly in front of my daughter.
Just keeping up
No,
audience.
actually, I'm still always writing jokes. It's just I haven't gone to perform.
Gotcha.
Um,
Gotcha.
yeah, but actually, that's another thing I have in the works is that I'm doing a comedy show that's the target audience is older millennials, because now the millennials have divided now. Older millennials, Xers, because Xers are always forgotten about. We don't exist apparently, our generation.
Oh, okay.
Gen X, yeah.
Okay. So
And
you're doing a show for that audience?
yeah, for that audience, because a lot of comedy shows there are still very male centered, and I find it's hard for me as a mom. It was hard to get up to those shows, like local ones, because they would kind of be last minute or they'd be midweek. And for me, I was like, I need to know a plan. I need to know who's going to babysit. I need to know if I can pick them up in the afternoon, which will determine how much alcohol I partake in anymore. And so,
Do I
and
have to Uber home?
exactly. Do I have to Uber home? Can I sleep over at my friend's house? Like, what can I do? And so I was like, I want to create a show where I think of those things for my audience, knowing my target audience, and say, I'm letting you know about this show 2 months in advance, which some local shows don't really often do. It's kind of like, it's happening in 3 weeks. Okay, great. I can't do it.
Oh my God, I love that.
Um,
Like, what if you did a show where you had childcare as part of the show?
that's one of the things actually is I wanted to have childcare
Are you
and
serious?
yes,
Oh
and
my
also
God, I
a
think it's
nice
brilliant.
venue.
Yeah.
Yeah, a nice venue.
No, I think it's brilliant. I just saw this post the other day online. It was just a photograph of a desk, and then next to the desk was like a little play area for a child, and it was a co-working space for working moms.
Yes.
And it was like you could come in here and here's this play area for your kid, and they had all the stuff in there. I was like, why? Hello, like why are we not thinking of these things? This is just
Yeah.
so necessary. Anyway, oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, so So when let's just say that you're planning your type five, right? You're like working, you're writing your jokes, or you're working on a story, or you're visualizing how you're going to create one of your spectacular online events, and you're basically sitting down to, as I said, like connect with your muse, all right?
Mm.
And you're beginning your creative process. So what I would like to say for the listening audience, and what I'd like you to delve into, is like what is your process? Like, what do you do? To walk us through your ritual to kind of focusing and centering down into that creative space.
Hmm. You know what's funny is I find that it's sometimes it actually surprises me when it's like it hits me.
Yeah.
And then when it looks like I'm doing nothing, it's actually a lot of thinking going on. Uh, and reactment and rehearsal and editing already in here.
Hmm.
And then and then I'll literally pick up whatever is beside me, my phone, whatever thousands of notebooks I have around here, and literally whatever I can write with, because I don't know why pens disappear around here like the socks. And so sometimes I'm writing in my daughter's crayons or something. And then I'll just jot down the idea, whether it's an idea for a show, whether it's a joke that I just quickly write out, whether if it's even not necessarily a story, but I'll at least write like almost like a prompt, but I at least know how it's going to either open or somewhere in the middle, like a scene that I want to get down.
Hmm.
Um, and then you know what? Very often it's not like I continue. It's not like, oh no, now let me just hunker down and get it all out. Because I find the more I try to force myself to do that, the ideas are like, no, you're trying too hard. We'll come back later.
Right, 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 right. We're incubating. Just let us
We're
in.
yeah, like, just ease up. And so I'll just leave it there to rest. And what often happens is in the middle of the night, I'll wake up and I'll go, oh, I know the rest of how this should go. And I will try to finish it there, or at least continue the idea.
Okay.
Um, and the shower is another place. The shower is another place where,
Dude,
yeah, yeah,
I know. There's something about water.
yes,
Are you a
yes.
swimmer too? Do you swim?
When I was younger, yes.
Yeah.
And then I don't know. It takes a lot of time because then when it's cold, you've got to change, and it's not that whole thing.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but I mean, there's something like I am a big swimmer. I went this morning, and the big joke that I've been saying is like if I could get a dry erase board that was portable and waterproof that I could keep next to the pool when I'm
There
doing,
is.
dude. Well, then please tell me how to find it because I have so many ideas when I'm swimming, and I'm just like, God, that's a great idea. Like I want to write that down.
There is. There's like a field note pad that they use, like us maybe in the army or something, or I like bird watcher. I don't know, but they have special paper.
Yeah.
Yes, and yeah, I just Googled it like a month ago. I was like, I need this in my shower.
See. Oh, or you know what else you could buy? Wait, I have them right here. Crayons. They make these things. They're called window crayons.
Oh yes,
And you can
yes,
like draw on the side of your shower with these.
yeah.
I
Oh,
like draw. My microwave has stuff on it. My car windows have like affirmations on them.
oh
Oh
wow.
yeah, these are crazy fun. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But there isn't enough glass in my house.
Yeah, Post-its. That's why
Thank you.
Post-its. Oh, I love Post-its.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, and I don't know if you're familiar with this idea, which I just want to throw this out to you because hello, and it might help some other folks that are listening. So, I'm really into this idea of like when is the best time to invite our creative process, right?
Mm.
And so there's this train of thought that there are like three different periods of time during the day, right? And so the morning is generally the best time for something that involves focusing. So like writing, maybe in your case, like planning, like mapping out the show, like the logistical focus pieces. then the afternoon is the best time for admin. So most of us get that wrong. Like we wake up, we're like,
Mm.
oh, I got to check my email. And then whatever cool idea we had, it's like lost. Because then 2 hours later, we're like, oh, yeah, I was going to write. So flipping that script to do all the admin stuff, but that could even just be like doing the dishes or laundry or whatever, but sort of mindless tasks in the
Yeah.
afternoon. Because that's like our trough phase, right? Where
Hmm.
our mind is like, okay, I need like a little bit of an etch a sketch. And then the PM is the brainstorming and the iteration time,
Hmm.
which makes so like to organize
Definitely.
our activities into those energetic spaces. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
Where we're in the
Definitely.
zone. Yeah. And it sounds like you're doing
Yes, it's funny you said that because I am a night owl, but I am also an early riser, which
that. Which doesn't
I
mean
don't
a
sleep
lot of
much.
sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. And I actually used to keep before cell phones had recorders on them. I actually used to keep a Zoom recorder, and I would just, whenever I could, I would just tell my ideas into it because it was just so much faster.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, this kind of stuff fascinates me, honestly. It's like how many brilliant ideas do we have that we didn't like create like an idea capture situation for
Yeah.
ourselves? Wait, I have to show you one more thing.
Yeah.
So I also use these. So this is like my you can't see it idea archives. So it's a
Oh.
box, and then I just do these things called moment captures where I'll do a drawing of however I'm feeling at the time sketch, like a
Oh.
2 minute sketch, and then like an idea, like a word. So this says connected May 5th, 2021.
Oh,
And,
nice.
and this is golden because I store them in this box and then I'll go back later and be like, oh, I want to write about that. I want to create a show about that. I want to make a doll about that, whatever.
Yeah, you know what else I use? This is pretty unusual. I don't know if it.
Oh,
So there's an account I follow on Instagram, and it's my old neighborhood, Scarborough. It's called Scarborough Spots, and they often post like landmarks from that area that I grew up in. And
nice.
so whenever I see a post, of course, I'll see something from my teen years or my childhood,
Yeah.
and I actually use those as prompts. Um, and it's kind of like it just happens naturally because it evokes such a memory. Because often you forget things, and so you'll see something and you'll go, "Oh." So I actually use that as prompts, and that's not the only account. There are other accounts that we all follow them, just sort of things we're
That's
kind of interested in, or flowers or whatever you're interested in. But I use those as prompts. It's kind of like Instagram roulette prompt, I guess. Oh,
wow.
I'm gonna coin that.
Like write that down, write that down.
Yeah.
Along with your what you think is your weakness is actually your strength.
Yes, yes,
I've got
yes.
notes here from our whole conversation. Well, and I absolutely adore this because here's the thing. First of all, I think that everyone is creative. I really do. I've seen it to be true. But for people that are not, let's say, actively participating in a creative process in their day to day life, it's sort of like, well, that's this mystical, wild thing, and I have no idea how the heck I would ever do it. And then I was in a writing workshop yesterday with this woman, Barry Cole. Hi, Barry. She's spectacular out of Chicago. And she said, a single mom, she said, listen, I started writing from prompts because when I was like waiting for my kid outside of soccer practice, like I was like, if I don't write, I'm going to lose my mind. So I just started doing these little 5 minute blurbs
Yes,
and
I
just
love it.
creating on the fly, in a portable way that makes sense with your life,
Yes, yes.
right?
Oh, when we were in real life, my favorite thing to do, which is horrible for the dates I went on, but my absolute favorite, and this like what I miss about real life interactions is I loved going out just in public spaces, restaurant, wherever,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
seeing people talking, interacting with each other, and making a game of like, what are they talking about? Like, and just making up the dialogue for them. It's like my favorite activity. Um, and I got so good at it that I can guess how long couples have been together, whether it's a first date or they've been together 20 years, whether
Wow.
they're friends, whether
Wow.
scandalous.
You're like, this might be your next business model.
I know, I know.
Something there. There's something there. Put it on a piece of paper and it'll come out at 3 a.m. in the form of a new business idea.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, I think amazingly, we're almost at an hour, which is shocking.
How?
I know. I was like, what? But I will ask this question because I think it's really important, especially for those folks who are just getting started. So, what would you say when you think of your, let's just say, like your creative path in general and all of the wonderful, multifaceted aspects of it? What do you think is the biggest obstacle that you've faced so far, like on this journey? And like times when you were just like, there is no way I can go on with this like one more minute. Like, tell us about that.
It's, I guess we refer to it as a creative block.
Yeah.
And sometimes that creative block is made a bigger block when there's the absence, especially if you're trying to make an income off being a creative. And that obstacle that obstacle feels like it comes more often than sometimes the actual periods of, I'm doing something out of this and I'm creating this income for myself.
Right.
But I think it's just because blocks are so scary, because I think you think as a creative, you're like, maybe I've completely lost it. Maybe I have no more ideas. Maybe it's all gone. Um,
Yeah.
and what I'm finding is that the harder I think of, the harder I try to think of what can I do, or I'm trying to fit it into something or a box, no ideas come because I'm trying to force something. And so I'm saying this as if I'm such like an expert at it, but it's such a thing that I'm trying to work so hard with, because
Yeah.
I know when I'm in a good space that things fall into place and ideas will come. It just takes some kind of inspiration. And inspiration sounds like so high and elevated, but literally I could look at like a piece of bubble gum on the ground and it will like, I'll be like, oh, I think I could do, this. But I think those obstacles, as with anything in life, sometimes when you're too close to them, problems, whether it be a creative obstacle, when you're too close to them, you can't see what you can do. So you have to find a way to step back and just, let just something kind of appear, like just give it space to appear versus trying to crowd in and be like, you here? Where are you? Where are you? Just kind of step back and go, okay, I'm waiting. It's the hardest thing. I make it sound like, just do this, it'll work. But it's honestly, it's so hard, isn't it? It's
Oh,
just,
I've been doing this for 20 years. I have a very good idea how hard it is, and the days when you're like, what in the heck am I even
what am
doing?
I
Why don't I
doing?
get a 9 to 5 for God's sake?
Right?
What am I even trying to? But then something amazing happens, and you're like, oh, and the clouds part,
Yes.
and it's magic, and you're like, yeah, this is why I do it because
This
it's
is
magic.
why I do it. The
Yeah,
magic, it's the magic. The magic makes it worth it. There's no other word. The magic makes it worth it.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, and one thing that I always love to say, which is like the best marketing plan that any of us can do is to love ourselves.
Yes.
Which sounds so like woo woo and counterintuitive and ridiculous. It's like, well, you got to, blah, blah, blah. It's like all these systems and we can put them all in place and they are great and they have their own purpose. But the fact is like really in this journey as a creative entrepreneur, loving yourself is like number one because as we said, we started out with the energetics. It's all about the energetics, right?
Hmm?
And when you love yourself and you're confident and the calm confidence, which is different than like, I'm a superstar, you should pick me, right? But this gentle, like beautiful, calm confidence of like, hi,
Yes.
I'm like here to share my gifts with you because
Mhm.
like I love you and I want to help you be even more spectacular than you already are and like highlight you. I mean, that's what you're doing is highlighting all these people that are, guests on your show, that are the shows that you're producing in Sassy La Vie, right? I mean, you are. You're like a
Mhm.
mirror.
Yes, exactly. You're a mirror. And it's not hoo hoo, or what did you say? Hoo hoo. Anyways, it's not,
Woo.
because working with a business consultant, which seems the opposite of creativity and like a creative mind,
Mm.
that loving yourself also translate into knowing your worth and your value, like what you have to add.
Yes.
Putting the price to it almost becomes easier because you know what you're worth. So, and that actually is something I didn't expect to learn from a business consultant, to be honest, is realizing my worth and my value. Not like how to put together like a business plan, but actually that I said it makes me feel very capable.
Mm. Well, and then you can go to those, meetings or those pitches or whatever and have that calm confidence and be like, "Hi, yes, this is what I can do for you. I know what I can do for you because I've done it before and I'll do it again,
Yes.
and I'm trusting the process because like, my muse is like right here, she's ready. She's got a billion ideas, and I just need you to like give me that container to work in and it's going to be fire. It's going to be amazing."
Exactly.
Absolutely. Okay, well, this is so fun. Okay, so advice for a young producer or performer coming up. What would you suggest?
So I used to host my own show called The Kind of Late Show. Um,
Hello.
and and one thing I always found with young or aspiring performers, whatever artists, is that there was this almost like this guilt of self promotion. And
Oh,
so I gave them a space and I'd say, this is the one place, shamelessly self promote yourself. Because if you don't appear to have confidence in what you do, or you don't, you're not like, look, that I think this is a great thing that I'm doing, then how else is anyone else supposed to believe it? That's the one thing is
beautiful. Beautiful. So can you please shamelessly self-promote yourself? What shows do you have coming up now?
so I will be having some storytelling workshops coming up, and that will work towards basically editing your story for performance, but also it's like from the perspective of self-empowerment and discovering yourself. And then also too, I actually have a sharing circle every Thursday at not 9 p.m. Yes, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Wow.
Um, and that is free. And that's just basically to hold space because I feel like we need that a lot right now.
Wow. Is it
And
women only or it's open to everybody?
what's that? Yes,
Is
open
it
to everybody.
open to
Open to
everybody? Okay.
everybody.
Okay.
It's on Discord.
Cool.
Um,
Okay.
so I do have a link for that, and I am working on a storytelling show, but usually I kind of get those out of the workshops. So whoever does the workshops is more than welcome to do a show. That's your kind of grad class, but it's optional because I don't want to force, like it's already hard enough to get vulnerable.
Right, right, right. Well, girl, please, we could talk about that for hours. Like just writing the story alone and then telling it on a stage is like, next level.
Exactly.
But getting it out, it's like the first step. So where could people find you? Tell us your full website.
Website is Sassy La Vie. So Sassy, Sassy, LAV for Veronica.com, sassylavie.com. On Instagram, it is sassy underscore la underscore V. And those are the two main places you will definitely find me.
And on Facebook, you're Veronica Sassy Lovey Antipolo.
Antipolo, yeah, because that handle was taken.
Oh, what? Well, there you go. Throw it together. Get it out there. And maybe if you don't mind, maybe you can put the Discord link, on our Facebook page here. That might be
Absolutely.
fabulous. I know people
Yeah.
would love to check out your sharing circle at 9 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Central, and wherever
Yes.
else you are on the planet. Well, you are fantastic, spectacular, amazing, and fun, and brilliant, and an inspiration to everybody. And I'm so glad that you came on the Victoria Reese Show. Thanks a lot for coming.
Thank you so much. I had so much fun.
And Johnny Price would just like to say in closing, ladies, I have to say that I love your glasses.
Ha ha. You.
High
Yes.
five.
Thank you, Johnny.
Woo! Thank you, Johnny. All right. Peace out. Have a good night. Don't stay up too late.
No.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.